Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached drafting lesson 3 in our Humans of Guilderland project, which focuses on writing our climax. This is the moment that you have been working towards, all the details in writing that you've been building up to this moment, which is the climax. So here's an outline of what you will do when drafting your climax. First, you're going to do some thinking about your character and developing your character. Next, you need to identify the type of conflict that you have in your story, and you'll write a one-sentence explanation. Then, you'll write a flash draft of your climax event. And last, you'll identify if your climax leads to your resolution. Let's review what a climax is. In our story, a climax is the moment where your character faces a problem or experiences an event that teaches them something. Here are a couple really important things to remember about your climax. Your climax is a moment in your story that transforms or changes your character. In this moment, your character faces their biggest challenge of the whole story. And a climax always includes the secret ingredient. There's always some type of internal conflict, something that your character is struggling with. So first, before we can think about writing our climax, we need to think about our character and develop our character's personality a little bit, because this is what will get your reader interested in your story. It's making sure that they really care about your character. It's not about what happens, what the event is. It's the reader will be worried about who it's happening to, which is your character. So it's really important that we make them as real in our words as we can. So that's our first step. So we need to develop some type of empathy, have empathy for our characters. Empathy is a word that means the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It goes along with that saying to walk in your character's shoes. So we really need to think about this event as if we were the person we've interviewed or our character. So there are 4 questions that we want you to think about in terms of your character and their feelings. First, how do the characters' feelings affect the story's events? So how does the way the character feels impact the events in the story? So that's the first one. 2, how can I add actions and thinking to reflect a character's feelings? So instead of telling the reader, my character feels nervous, how can I add actions or other details in there to show how my character is feeling? 3, how can I use my own experiences to walk in my character's shoes? So how can I think about experiences that I have had and times that I have felt the same way to help me with my writing? So if I'm writing about my character feeling nervous, what are some times where I have felt nervous, and what have I done? What are things that I have said or felt? How can that help me? And finally, why does my character feel this way? What is it that's making them feel nervous or excited or surprised or afraid? What is it really that's making them feel that way? And if you can really think about your character's feelings and what's impacting them, then you can help your reader connect to that character even more. So you're going to respond to all 4 of those questions first. Next, your story has to have a conflict. There has to be something that your character is going through, that now that your character is real, right? As a reader, I'm connected to their feelings. Now there needs to be something that they need to overcome, that I'm rooting for your character. I want them to accomplish that goal or become better. So we need to think about what the conflict is. And there's 4 main types. One is character versus self, which means that your character faces some struggle within themselves. Maybe they have a lack of confidence, they need to make a tough choice, or there's something personal that they're struggling with. So that means the only conflict is with themselves or something that they need to decide to do. Character versus character means that your character has a problem with another character, that meaning that they disagree with somebody else on something, or they don't get along with somebody else. So if your character is with them arguing with or disagreeing with or having some conflict with another person, then that's character versus character. Character versus nature is some problem that involves some element of nature. whether that be water or a storm, or they need to survive in some way, something that's out of their control. Last is character versus society. This is when your character battles something that they think is unfair, a decision the school has made, a decision the government has made that they disagree with. Then that's a character versus society. So you're going to pick what type of conflict you have, and you're going to delete the boxes that don't apply. So if my conflict is character versus self, then I'm going to delete the other three. And then on the right-hand side of our T chart here, you're going to, in one sentence, describe the conflict in your story. So character versus self, what is the conflict? Next, you're going to flash draft your climax event. Again, making sure that we're focusing on the way the character is feeling, how we can include details and actions to show those feelings to our reader, and really making sure that this is highlighting the conflict that you just identified. The final piece to this is identifying character change. This climax moment must be the moment that changes or transforms your character. Your character thinks something differently, believes something differently because of this event. And if that doesn't happen, then you don't have a climax, right? So you need to think, does your climax event connect to the life lesson in your resolution? Is this directly the moment that changes your character so that now they've learned that lesson you have in your resolution? So you need to pick yes or no, and you're going to delete the one that doesn't apply. If the answer is yes, great. Then in that box there, explain how your climax leads to your resolution. If no, you need to go back to your flash draft and add some details, or maybe you need to rethink what your climax event is to make sure that it does directly connect to that life lesson. And you can use that space down there to brainstorm some ideas. So if you think you are finished, you need to make sure you've watched the whole Loom video, that you responded to the developing character questions, you have identified your story's conflict, you've written a flash draft of the climax, and then you've responded to the character change question. If you have done all of this, then you can copy and paste your climax draft onto your drafting slide, and you can turn this Google slide in. If you have questions, because this can be a little tricky, if you have questions, call me over and I'll come help you. Good luck.